Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Beats, Brews, and Points of View podcast. I'm your host, Neil Richter, along with my partner in podcasting, sitting across from me, E-Man Bates.
What episode is it?
This is the problem about spacing them out like this. We always forget what episode we're on. I think it's 139.
Maybe?
Or is it 140?
It's not 140.
Because I feel like we were right in the 130s at 130, 140.
Alfonso Mango was 137, so this is 138. So the PIP, that is me, and we are back in Plymouth, Canton City for episode 138.
Yeah, we're back, baby. Boo, 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 boo. Oh, wait, why am I doing that when we actually have them? I feel like the WWE drops are appropriate with everything that's been going on in the WWE universe.
Dude, it is. Yeah, wrestling is. It's funny because wrestling is in such a good place right now because there's so many different, not even just WWE, but like AEW. I mean, AEW is going a little bit south lately, but that TNA is popping off.
You mean from like a creative standpoint? It's like
from a creative standpoint, from a point like a fandom fanpoint too, because so many people are getting into it more recently as well, and it's just like it's becoming more popular, I guess, in a way, as far as just like, you know, people starting to watch wrestling more and things like that. I mean, I think you guys know my story with that. I used to love wrestling as a kid, and I fell out of it, I want to say around like high school. And like I was on and on watching it, but I wasn't consistent as I was then. I started back during COVID because it was the only sport on TV. Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, this is way more entertaining than I remember.
It got me for a little bit during COVID too, because I had the Peacock or whatever, so I was like, fuck it, I'll watch some of this stuff. But and we won't talk about wrestling too much because you actually have your own platform for that now.
Yeah,
if you want to plug that real quick.
Shout out to the team. We have an unnamed wrestling podcast right now. Don't have a name for it, but it's dope. We just shot the first episode yesterday, so you guys will probably hear it probably sometime this week. I would say around the same time this episode drops as well, so we'll probably put them out back to back. So shout out to Nadeem on that one, and then shout out to Vanessa and Uni as well.
Yeah, shout out Uni.
Yeah, Sacred Talks podcast. Yeah, that's they're popping off as well too. So got a lot of things in the works for you guys.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I won't dwell on the wrestling because as we just mentioned, he's got his own show. But the one thing I will say is I think this whole like rock turn heel thing that's going on right now and taking all the headlines, I think that might actually bring back some older wrestling fans that have gave up on it maybe. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, The Rock is one of the most iconic wrestlers to ever step in the ring. And then if you have from a business standpoint, it all makes sense because, you know, TKO bought out the WWE and they also own UFC. The Rock is on the board for that as well. So it's drawing some traffic. I mean, part of it is, you know, cover up Vince McMahon nonsense. Yeah. And the other part of it is to actually draw some like numbers into that. You know, WrestleMania still is probably one of the biggest sporting events, period. Yeah. But yeah, it's good. Wrestling is in a good place right now.
Yeah, I like to hear that, man. It's really cool. I might actually have to, you know, chime back in a little bit because I do think that like the era of like Rock versus Stone Cold and all that shit,
Attitude
that was
era,
best, man. It was awesome. But anyways, I digress. We're going back into the music talk and the beer talk and the brews and all that. So the song that I just started the podcast off to tonight was a song called YBP featuring Bruiser Wolf by Detroit's own Danny Brown. That was an album that came out last year, and that's part of the reason why I played it for you on the top of the podcast, because we're going to spend a little bit of time tonight discussing some of our favorite pieces of music that came out last year, and then we're going to transition into, you know, some talk about what's to come for 2024, maybe a little Super Bowl talk, you know, stuff like that, and see what we're in store for with the podcast. So, as I mentioned that, you know, as we do on this podcast, we're going to start it off with what we are drinking. I'm still on my no booze kick.
It's not even a no booze kick for you.
No,
anymore.
It's a lifestyle now. It's a lifestyle now. Actually, in 2 days. Well, by the time you guys hear it, I will be a year removed from drinking alcohol. So that's pretty awesome.
Give me a hell yeah!
Hell yeah! Yeah, February 14th, Valentine's Day, which happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day to your liver, dog.
Yeah, for real. That's so true. My liver's definitely happy with me this year. But yeah, so happy Valentine's Day. It's also Black History Month, so happy Black History Month to everybody. It's also, Jay Dilla's birthday was the other day, so it's Jay Dilla Month that we celebrate here in Detroit. So happy birthday to Jay Dilla. You had another birthday in
Nujabes, man. So yeah, if you guys aren't familiar with him, he's a Japanese-born hip-hop producer. He was actually born the same day as Dilla. He is known as the godfather of lo-fi hip-hop.
Oh.
So like a lot of your favorite production, like your Dream Pops, stuff like that, came from that guy. So.
Which is a whole different. I mean, there's a lot of people that are very, very into that movement. So.
I've been falling asleep to lo-fi for like the past couple of years, man. It's been
all those YouTube channels that have like Bart Simpson, like a stone picture of Bart Simpson, and like
the crazy like orange little monster thing with the gun and like the fucked up apartment and all that. The lo-fi girl like studying in her room, all that. Yeah, shout out to Nujabes for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, tonight for me, I'm just drinking on some lemon ginger tea because that's my brew of choice these days. And E-Man, it looks like he's got an interesting one.
Dude, I finished my lemon ginger tea. It was fire, man.
It is good. It's got some locally sourced honey in it. I am going to try a little bit of this medicated Nutella
Shout
butter.
out to Butter, man. Butter, great company, great flour. They have a lot of good stuff going on over there.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, Neil has some live rosin infused hazelnut spread.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of want to try some of that too. Yeah, thank you.
Boom. Wow. That's delicious. Oh, yeah.
I don't know what the milligram is on this either. It's probably on the box, which I don't have on me.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you can smell it, dude.
You sure can. You can taste it right away, too. That's delish.
Oh, shit. It tastes amazing. I'm going to regret that later, but yeah, it tastes great. Oh, yeah. So.
Yeah, that looks like an interesting can you got there.
You know what's funny? This is not a Michigan company.
What is called Detroit Van Zone and it's not a Michigan company?
The beer is. So this is some, I'm going to be honest, kind of a little clout chasey probably. But, I'm happy that, they're representing. But, yeah, Ellicott Brewing out in Ellicott, New York, in Little Valley, New York.
That's so weird.
The Detroit Fan Zone. They also, so the same company, they actually had a Michigan one, too.
Oh, okay.
So a bright, yay. Oh, yeah, both camera. We got camera angles today. So over from Ellicott Brewing Company, we have the Detroit Fan Zone. And if you want to read the Untapped description, by you, I mean me, because I have the computer right in front of me. Bright, aromatic American IPA with notes of apricot, lemon rind, and hearty hops. Brewed to be the perfect companion at your next tailgate, football party, or sports bar. By the time we're recording this, the Super Bowl is yesterday, so there's no more tailgating for that. But hey, baseball season's coming, you know?
Yep.
Packaged in cans that celebrate the unique game day experience in Detroit, Michigan. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's just a New York brewing company. They have to have some kind of ties. I'm thinking like maybe one of the brewers or somebody on staff is from Detroit or from Michigan or something like that. So
definitely, that's what I'm thinking too. You got Barry Sanders on here. There's a lot of like inside Detroit jokey things on here that
got the bag over the head. I see Eminem.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, this is a very cool can. All right, but yeah, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, I like that too.
Bow, 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 bow.
Speaking of the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl went down yesterday. I guess congratulations in order to the Kansas City Chiefs for winning another one. Is that Mahomes? We were trying to discuss that. I can't remember if that's Mahomes' second one or no, third one.
I want to say third. I'm going to look it up real quick, but
it might be 4. Not in a row, but
no, I think overall, let me see. Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl.
And as we do, I was more because after the Lions lost, I couldn't have cared less who won yesterday.
Just like the whole city of Detroit.
Yep.
State of Michigan, really.
It really actually was making me angry at certain points of the game. I was like, the Lions could be beating this team right now. But But yeah, so after that happened, I was just like, all right, well, let's see the Usher halftime show, which the production was crazy on the Usher halftime show. I enjoyed watching all of that. There's all kinds of sweet special guests. Her came out and played guitar. You had Lil Jon, Ludacris, Alicia Keys, will.i.am, a bunch of people. But Usher wasn't doing much singing. Like, it was very, like, it was mostly just a dance routine, and I feel like his songs playing and skating. And, yeah, to do the skating. I predicted the skating because he's been doing that at his Vegas residency, and I was seeing him talking in an interview about how much fun he has doing the skating on stage at Vegas. And I was like, oh, he's definitely doing that at the Super Bowl for sure.
Mahomes has been to 4 Super Bowls. He's won 3.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, he's on track. It's pretty cool to watch, being that he's only 28 and he's already doing this. I know people are already comparing him to Tom Brady and saying he's the next Brady or whatever, but
the best quarterback the Tigers ever drafted.
But yeah, so shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs. Shout out to Usher, even though I think the vocals could have been better, but the production was sweet. The dancing was cool. Usher is an enigma. I don't know how he doesn't age like that. It's crazy. He looks exactly the same.
I was happy to see Lil Jon. I was happy to see Ludacris.
Yeah.
Her smoked it. Alicia Keys. Swiss Beats. I got some questions. Probably got some questions for her.
Yo, Usher, quit putting your hands on people's girls, bro.
He was a Keke Palmer one too, right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
You're causing rifts in people's marriages out here. But anyways, yeah, that was the Super Bowl and everything. But let's get into this talk on some of our favorite albums last year. I definitely couldn't. I didn't have it in me to go and try to put it in any kind of order. Every time that we've done that in the past is just the most stressful thing ever, and it really matters like none because it's all subjective anyways. And I
hate lists.
You know what I mean?
I genuinely hate
these
lists.
are just the ones that him and I listened to the most, that we found to be the most interesting of last year. Mine are definitely not in order. I don't think E-Man's are as well.
Hell no. I never. So here's the thing. I never put mine in order. Like historically, I think I tried it like the very first couple years we've done this podcast, but it's an impossible task. It's all subjective. I like all these albums a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some I put on here that I haven't listened to yet that I need to go back to and things like that. Because I'm like, oh shit, they dropped. I need to go back to that. And it's an artist I like, but. Yeah, as far as like listing them in like order of how much I like them, it's a wrap.
Yeah, I agree. I put my list down to 50. We're obviously not going to be talking about all of them. I'm mostly just going to be telling you about them. You know, maybe offer a couple tidbits here and there about certain ones. But do you want me to start with mine?
Go for it, Doug.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't have 50. But
okay, so I did have 50. And I wrote them down for you. These are, again, not in order. But I had R&B singer Jamila Woods. Water Made Us would be one of them on there. She is just a really interesting artist. I'm trying to remember how I caught wind of her. It might have been through, I believe she might be on, I want to say she's on Ninth Wonder's label, and that might be how I caught wind of her. But don't quote me on that. I don't want to mess that up in case. But I had her. Cleo Soul, who's also in the band Salt, has also a solo career, and she put out 2 albums last year that I really enjoyed, both of which both of them are really soulful and spiritual, I would say. But those ones were called Gold and Heaven. Another one on here is a Detroit native and one of the best rappers that's ever existed on this planet, and that would be Elzai with Heavy Vibrato. Yeah, just bars for days on that album. I also got an artist named Kara Jackson, who kind of makes, I guess you could say it's R&B, but not really. I don't really know how to box her in, which is a good thing. So just go check out Kara Jackson. I think one notable thing about her is she has a very deep voice for a woman, so it kind of throws you off a little bit because it almost sounds like a dude singing at some points. And then another artist that I'm brand new to this year, who is this 21-year-old artist named Tiana Esperanza. She made, I don't even know.
That album was great.
It's crazy.
Yes, you sent me that, and it's like all over I think that album
all over the place.
I was gonna put that on my list. That album came out in 2022, so that's the only reason I'm gonna leave it off.
I think it came out in 23, didn't it? Maybe
I was looking at that.
Oh shit, maybe I got that wrong.
No. Anyway, we need to talk about her anyway.
Yeah.
Was it? You said Esperanza.
Esperanza, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It starts off like this almost like ragtime style, like 1920s, 1930s ass like music. And then it just goes like super like big swing band, and then it goes like it's nuts, dude. It goes all over the place.
It's so weird, and she like
it's dark.
Yeah, like you'll like 1 second you'll think you're listening to Billie Holiday, and then it'll go into some kind of like punk rock vibe type shit. It's really interesting. I remember noting that when I listened to the album, that it's probably the most interesting album that I heard this year, because it's just like you haven't heard anything like it. So yeah, definitely Terror by Tiana Esperanza. Hip hop legend AZ, he put out an album this year called Truth Be Told that is phenomenal. Singer songwriter, multi-instrumentalist who I had the pleasure of seeing this year, Sampha, put out an album Lahai that I really enjoyed. Sufjan Stevens put out an album this year, Jalen. And is that an emotional listen, because it's about his longtime partner who passed away from cancer, and he wrote an album about him. And that one is a heavy album to listen to, but it's really, really good too. And then I had Doja Cat on here, Scarlett. She delivered on what she was teasing about.
Her no features album?
Yeah, no features, and wanted to make sure she had a hip-hop album out there. Kind of changed her whole like public persona. So yeah, I really enjoyed that album. One of my favorite more underground rappers, Smoke DZA, put out a joint project with Flying Lotus this year called Flying Objects. That's very interesting. Victoria Monet, who just won a Grammy, singer-songwriter, R&B artist. Yeah, very deserving of the air horns, honestly, because Victoria Monet's been at it a while, writing songs for other people and shit, and for her to win Best New Artist at 34, 35 years old or something like that, it's pretty crazy, because I don't necessarily, I mean, it's the Grammys, so, they're kind of behind the ball on a lot of the newer stuff, but to get Best New Artist is wild, because she's not that new of an artist.
It's always been like that for the Grammys. So,
yeah, for sure. But anyways, yeah, she had Jaguar 2, which is the follow-up to her amazing Jaguar project. I also had Earl Sweatshirt and The Alchemist, who put out a joint project together, which I really like. That's one of my favorite things, is when when a hip-hop artist just gets with one producer, they lock in and make the whole album. And
then just like how the chemistry of Earl and Alchemist works out, because that Alchemist production style is like tailor-made for Earl. Because Earl he's always been very lyrical, but his cadence has always been kind of like slow and relaxed, and it's like kind of like just rides the beat, Yep. And it just kind of fits for like Alchemist's like style of production, because there's always like very like almost like jazz samples he uses a lot of times and things like that. It just works perfectly for him. So,
and it's always like he's always got really weird samples too. Like it's always very out there. It's not like he doesn't use a lot of really recognizable samples, which I like about Alchemist.
I want to go record shop at Alchemist one.
God, that would be fun, wouldn't it? Next, I got one of my favorite underground rappers, Mick Jenkins. He put out an album called The Patience. That's phenomenal.
I forgot about that one.
This man I feel like he never misses. Like every album is just so good. And I think we just talked when we had Jalen Frazier on our, was that last episode we had Jalen on, or 2 ago?
Last episode we had
Jalen on. He was talking about the Mick Jenkins project quite a bit too. Next, out of the TDE Top Dog Entertainment Camp, I really enjoyed Reason's album this year called Porches. He killed it with that. Very lyrical, very deep storytelling ability, which is another quality of this next artist I'm going to name, which is No Name, who put out a project called Sundial.
That was the number one hip hop album by, I think, Rolling Stone.
Oh, for real? Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
she's just a brilliant mind. I don't go on social media all that much anymore, but No Name has always been very outspoken and very intelligent. She started like a book club during the pandemic to get people to, read more and, just be more vocal and present and stuff like that. And I really like everything that she stands for. So shout out to No Name. Next, I got basically 2 albums wrapped into one kind of on this one, because Nas and Hit Boy dropped Magic 2 and 3 this year to complete the 6-album run that they had of like 4 years, 6 albums, something like that. Maybe it was 3 years. I can't remember, but yeah, it's crazy. Another band that I had the pleasure of seeing this year that I've wanted to see for a very long time, and it's probably one of my in the top 10 of mine this year, probably, if I had to organize it a little bit. It would be Little Dragon, Slugs of Love. I'm just such a gigantic fan of them. They're a Norwegian band that, or wait, are they Norwegian? No, they might be Swedish. Swedish band? I think Swedish. But yeah, I love them so much. They were so good live, and I really enjoyed that concert at St. Andrews Hall. Shout out to them. An artist I just mentioned prior to this would be Alchemist. He had his own album called Flying High this year, where we're starting to get some Uncle Al raps again, which is pretty cool. He doesn't do a whole lot of rapping anymore, mostly just on the production tip, but he got some raps off this year, which I really enjoyed. Another band that I saw this year that I really enjoyed would be Queens of the Stone Age, In Times New Roman, which would be, they've been around for a long time now, but they just seem to always deliver on some new creative energy that always sounds fresh, but it always sounds like them. They don't waver from their sound all that much, which I kind of like. Next, we got King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Petro Dragoning Apocalypse. They had, just like King Gizzard, like we talk about them on this podcast a lot, they're pretty prolific, and it wasn't the only album they dropped this year, but I just put that one on there because that one was the one I liked the most. Shout out to our next artist that I'm about to mention for sweeping the Grammys in the hip-hop category. That would be our man Killer Mike.
Give me a hell yeah!
I can't lie. Like, so the Grammys, who wins the Grammys doesn't mean a whole lot to E-Man and I, but this one did make me feel kind of warm and fuzzy inside because Killer Mike's been, he put a lot of time and effort into this project. This is he left the Run the Jewels imprint to do this project because he felt like he wanted to tell his personal story,
And LP still got a Grammy off of it because he had production credits.
That's true. That is very true. So Killer Mike won for Best Rap Album, Best Rap Performance, which is also funny to me because he won for Best Rap Performance with Andre 3000 on Scientists and Engineers, which is funny to come out in a year where Andre put out an instrumental album where he has no rapping on it whatsoever. Right. And he still wins a rap Grammy in the same year. So that makes me laugh a little bit. So shout out to Killer Mike and Andre, of course. Let's keep going here. Flip my little page over. The next one I got on here would be another joint project, which seems to be kind of a running theme I'm noticing a lot on the last year, which I really like when that happens. And that would be K-Tronada and Amine put out a project together called K-Tramine.
I forgot about that album.
Which is a really quick, dancey, kind of summer vibes type of project, which came out at the perfect right time in the summer, and it was one of my favorites to go ride my bike around to. Artist Jindena from the from under Janelle Monáe's imprint at the Wonderland Records or whatever. He put out Me, You, and God, which is it seemed like the whole album the theme is sort of kind of polyamory and exploring your sexuality and being liberated in that way. It very much feels like his Love Below, like Andre 3000's Love.
I mean, and ironic when Janelle Monáe put out an album called The Age of Pleasure too. So it's just it's also
that tracks. It makes sense. It's definitely a good listen. It's definitely different than anything he's put out before. So if you're expecting his other projects, you won't hear it on this one. One that I'm like, I feel like we're oversaturated by this guy, and it happened way too quickly, which annoys me. And we talked about him early on this podcast. But then he started to get too popular, and I don't know, I'm weird, and it bothered me. But that's Jack Harlow, Jackman. I actually think this is a much, much, much better effort than this project.
All right, y'all want me to rap again?
Yeah,
I got you. I got the bars. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put this like poppy. What was that album? Come Home, the Kids Miss You.
Yeah,
that was like kind of like this more like poppy kind of feel to it.
Hanging out with Drake too much and getting too popular.
I get it.
I get it too. I'm just teasing. But no, yeah, I thought this was a way better project from him. It's just all raps, great storytelling ability, cool beats and stuff. Okay, moving on. Next is a band that I've been a really big fan of for probably the last 10 years. It's a band called Temples. Exotico is the name of the album, which is another, probably if I had to put a top 10, that would probably be in there. I listened to that a lot while I was out running this year. Next, we have the supergroup Dinner Party, which is Terrace Martin, Kamasi Washington, Robert Glasper, and Ninth Wonder. They put out the follow-up to their first project, and this one's called Enigmatic Society. Keeping with that kind of vein of artists, we had Black Thought from the Roots and L. Michael Affairs put out their Glorious Game project, which continues this stream of thoughts thing that Black Thought's been doing for the last couple years. Next one that E-Man just mentioned a minute ago would be Janelle Monáe's Age of Pleasure. Anyone that listens to this pod knows that I'm a gigantic fan of hers. And
you saw her last year too, right?
Yeah, me and my girlfriend went to Chicago and saw her perform at the Aragon Ballroom, and it was awesome. Even saw her flash the crowd, which is pretty cool too.
Nice. She's been flashing a lot of people lately.
Yeah, she sure did.
Yeah. Not mad at it.
But not to take anything away from the music, because she was also nominated for, Album of the Year this year at the Grammys, I think, but she lost to Taylor Swift, which, of course.
That's Taylor Swift. Big business.
For sure. Beyond that, one of the R&B artists that I listen to the most, I go back to his first two projects more than most artists out. And that'd be Daniel Caesar's Never Enough, which I got on vinyl recently too, which I love. Following that by an artist named Jesse Ware, who put out That Feels Good, and that is like a super dance party, like very upbeat, kind of disco-esque feeling vibe to it, which I would recommend. Another Alchemist project, he put out one with Larry June, West Coast rapper Larry June, called The Great Escape.
So great. I love that.
So
like
good.
that, the Big Sean song on there too. Like that. The actual vibe of that album is very. I really like. We were just talking about where Earl, like in kind of like slow cadence and stuff like that. Larry June also is in that bag, but he's got like a little bit more of a swag to it, I guess, in a way where it fits him. Alchemist production is perfect for him.
It really is, and I think we probably talked about it on here. I've never been like a huge Larry June guy. I have friends that love Larry June, but this one really hit me. I did like this one a lot.
He's a day older than me.
Larry June is?
Yes.
I didn't know. So Larry June's younger than me, huh?
Yeah.
Huh. For some reason, I thought he was like an older rapper. I don't know.
Because he calls himself Uncle Larry?
Maybe. Maybe that's what it is. But anyway, a completely different sound and vibe would be a band. Well, I guess it's more like one artist, but City and Color, August Green. And that one's called The Love Still, which he just writes beautiful love songs, and they just sound great because his voice is great. So I love that. This next one is one that we started the podcast up with, and that would be Danny Brown's Quaranta, which is 40 in Italian, which is kind of supposed to play as a companion piece to his Triple X album. It's supposed to be, that one, obviously he wrote at 30, this one he wrote at 40, and kind of just comparing you where his life was then and to where it is now. And shout out to Danny Brown for continuing to be just so original and creative. And that brings in my next one, which was his joint album that also came out this year with JPEG Mafia called Scaring the Hose Volume 1, which is probably, I would give that, for me, my taste, that's my favorite hip-hop album of the year.
Which one?
Scaring the Hose.
Oh, yeah, that album's great. Like,
it's so good.
JPEG Mafia is one of those people that can just do everything as far as that lane. Like when we're talking about like Alchemist uses like weird unrecognizable samples, that goes double for JPEG Mafia.
Yep.
Like,
it sure does. And it'll be like mixed weird. The vocals are always mixed weird. Like I guess I heard some people saying online that they were upset that Danny's vocals were kind of like they sometimes felt like they were lost in the mix a little bit, but I didn't feel that way. I felt like it was really cool. Like obviously it's a little bit more in the background. His vocals aren't pushed to the front as much, I guess, but I still think it sounds amazing. But yeah, moving on. I'm almost there, guys, I swear. This would be an album or an artist that actually E put me on to, and that'd be, is it pronounced Yves Tumor? Is that
Yves Tumor?
Yves Tumor. He put out this album called "Praise the Lord Who Chews but which doesn't swallow," or but one which doesn't swallow. That album is super cool.
Been a big fan of this dude for a minute.
You saw him, right?
No.
Oh, you didn't see that?
No, I didn't get a chance to go see him. I was he was at L Club. I forgot what happened that night, but I couldn't find anybody else to go with. I think that's
For
why.
real?
I didn't want to do it by myself. That's like anyway. Yves Tumor is great. He has, I can't really describe his style. It kind of gives me like almost like a Bowie kind of vibe to it in a way where it's like you really don't know, like he has like kind of these different personalities he plays with and things like that, and it's all like very experimental, like rock sound too. It's super dope.
Yeah,
I did get to catch his stream when he was at what festival was it? Bonnaroo?
Yeah,
Was it Bonnaroo Festival? Yeah, like no, but no, I have not gotten to see him live or them live, I should say.
Yeah.
But I do plan on it. Highly recommend you guys check out Yves Tumor. Super dope, experimental, like weird rock. Like,
yep,
yeah.
I agree. Yeah, it's very interesting, and it's definitely not sounding like anything else that's currently being made.
No.
And then this one's kind of a blast from the past, but good old Damon Albarn from Gorillaz and Blur, and solo music, got back together with his old band Blur, and they put out an album called The Ballad of Darren that I really, really thought was a strong album this year. Multi-instrumentalist loop master Masego, he put out a self-titled album this year that I thought was really well done. Shout out to him. Sometimes some of his songs can be hit or miss for me, but I feel like he's really been locked in and like nailing it lately. And his whole last project really did it for me.
I like the this one was great, but the one he did before that was cool too. Study Abroad. Yeah, I like that one a lot too.
Yeah, me too. Yep. And then this one, for some reason, I thought it almost feels like it came out way longer. Maybe it's because she has a new album out already, but that'd be Kali Uchis, Red Moon and Venus.
Woo.
That album was just...
I did get to see her live, though.
Yep, me too. Wait, you saw her at Roots Picnic, right?
No, she opened for Tyler. I saw her a couple years ago.
That's right.
No, like... Best backup dancers in the game. Second of all, like Kali Uchis is one of those people. Like Don Toliver's a lucky man, but like
yes, he is.
Like,
isn't she pregnant now with something? I think they're having a kid.
So that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Lucky bastard.
Does he have no heart? Do you have no soul? You son of a bitch.
Anyways, continuing on, would be U.S. Girls, Bless This Mess. I can't really box U.S. Girls in either. They kind of, I guess, kind of pop music, but I don't know. Just go listen to U.S. Girls. I don't really know. Maybe like kind of indie rockish, but not really. Kind of, I don't know. U.S. Girls, Bless This Mess. Good album. And from his other band, Damien Albarn's other band, Gorillaz, they put out Cracker Island this year as well, which is a phenomenal work. It's got great features on it. Specifically, the one with Thundercat is pretty awesome with the same name. Moving on, I got Caroline Polochik, who my good boy Stevie T put me on to. He took me to see her at the Majestic, and I really had a good time there. And so I've been paying attention to her music since. And she put out a great album this year called Desire I Want to Turn Into You. And then I'm in the last 9 here. I got Kalila Raven, which is a really, really cool R&B album. It's very I don't know if it's R&B, actually. It's more like electronic dance kind of stuff. It's kind of like avant. I don't know. It's hard to box in as well, but I think that's what I'm finding about myself is I like the artists that make stuff that's left of center the most. It seems to draw me in the most. And then out of the rock and roll world, I like this band called The Arcs. It is Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys' other project. And honestly, I'm really into their music more so than the Black Keys now. I feel like it's kind of it's kind of Black Keys vibe to it, but with more interesting, new, and fresh ideas. Like the last couple of Black Keys projects just kind of felt like recycled material more or less to me. So I feel like the Arcs is cool because it still has that that vibe, but it just feels a little fresher to me. So I really fucked with the Electrophonic Chronic is the name of the project that came out by them. And then singer-songwriter Ray, who kind of reminds me a little bit of the Amy Winehouse vibe-ish with her music. She has an album called My 21st Century Blues that was awesome. Andre 3000, which I already mentioned, with the New Blue Sun, which I was lucky enough to go see the other day, just 2 days ago, actually. My girlfriend got us tickets for Valentine's Day / my first sobriety birthday to go see.
Hey.
Yeah, to see Andre 3000 do his instrumental album live at the Cathedral in the Masonic Temple, which was cool.
Yeah, he had 2 dates. He had the Masonic Temple, and I know he was at
Cliff Bell's.
Cliff Bell, yeah.
Yeah, he did
Jazz Club, yeah.
He did Cliff Bell's on the 8th, and then he did 2 shows in the Masonic Temple on the 9th. One was at 5.
Wait, there was 2?
Yeah, there was 2. He did one at 5 o'clock, or one was at 5 and one was at 8:30. And I went to the 8:30 one, which it was so cool because basically what he stated in the show was no 2 shows were the same because the entire set is improv. They didn't write anything. They didn't plan any set lists or none of that. They just started jamming, and it's really cool to.
Who did he have any backup instruments?
Yeah, he had a full band with him. There was, I don't want to butcher all their names, but he had a full band of musicians from the West Coast that are all people that he kind of just met organically through being out there, and other people that were interested in like wind instruments and flutes and stuff like that. So shout out to Andre. It was a very incredible experience, really. I was really kind of floored by how much I enjoyed it. I didn't know if I would like the concert or not, but I kind of went into it with the mindset of it being like a healing, breathing journey kind of thing. So I just was like, spent most of the concert with my eyes closed, just doing really deep breathing, and it felt really good. I mean, it felt like being in a church service led by Andre 3000. It was crazy. It was a beautiful room too. You had all these like stained glass windows and stuff, so it was really cool. So shout out to that. 5 more left for you. I had Lil Yachty's Let's Start Here, which was, if you've ever heard Lil Yachty, it sounds nothing like anything he'd made previous to this album. It's very much in the psychedelic rock world.
Yeah, he went all Pink Floyd on this album.
It's very much his Dark Side of the Moon, and I appreciate it. I really, really loved it. I thought there was fresh ideas. His live show's cool. I remember streaming his Lollapalooza set after this album came out, and I was really interested in that too. I thought it was cool. So shout out to Yachty. Next would be Jordan Ward, who kind of makes like this lo-fi R&B, if that even makes sense. I don't really know how to describe his music either. His lyrics are kind of hip-hop-ish, but the sound of the music isn't hip-hop-ish. So I don't know. Jordan Ward is very cool. He has an album called Forward. I would check that out. Okay, last 3. I got Busty and the Bass, which is a jazz band. Not jazz band, but like brass band, I would say. They kind of have these big sounding songs, and each song had like different featured singers on it. Terrence Martin was featured on a song. There was, I don't know, some other cool people on the album too, but that album I've listened to a lot. And then the last 2 would be an R&B project called Sorry I Haven't Called by Vagabond. And finally, one of my favorite underground rappers who, man, I feel like he deserves to be a much bigger artist because he's so creative and original with the stuff that he does. And that would be out of PG, Maryland. IDK put out a project called F65. That was really cool. He had a lot of...
Oh, yeah, dude, I forgot about that album.
Yeah, he had a lot of cool, sweet jazz interludes. I mean, it came out at the top of last year, so it was easy to do. So shout out to IDK. It was a very cool conceptual project with a nice fluid sound to it. Like everything had like nice, cool interludes that made the project flow together real nice.
Like Mike Dean does a lot of his production too.
Yeah, he does. Yep. So that would be my 50 albums that I listened to that I liked the most of last year. Whew, that felt like a lot.
Yeah, man. So real quick before I go into my list, I did not bring it with me today, but I do want to shout out my guy Larry, who I actually met at our mutual friend Frost's Rads, one of his shows. He hooked me up with some homemade mead that I was supposed to review on the show. I did get a chance to try it like with him at his crib. I didn't bring it with me, unfortunately, today, but I do want to hype it up and say it is great. He has a blueberry mead and he has a cherry one, I believe. And it's all the fruit is actually sourced from I believe it's sourced from a company in Michigan. It's like all real fruit and things like that. It's not extract or anything like that. It's really, really solid product. He has a crazy ass homebrew setup. So big shout out to Larry. Thank you for hooking me up with a couple bottles of that. I will get a chance. I'm gonna talk to my guy over at Stott because we're gonna try some stuff over there too. But yeah, man. Big shout out to him. So, with that said, let's go into my list. There's going to be a lot of overlap. I'm going to just be honest with you guys. So, top of my list, because I try to go by top of the year to, like, end of the year. So, first album I really loved in January was actually when we were just talking about the Lil Yachty Let's Start Here album, which had, like, kind of like the craziest album cover to me as well.
That was a weird one.
Because I'm thinking, like, that's what happened when he turned in his album, and the label was just looking like, what the fuck is this for me? But it's like this very experimental, like, psychedelic rock. Or we were saying, like, a Pink Floyd type vibe to it. It's really interesting. Yeah, it doesn't sound like anything Yachty's ever done. I feel like when young artists kind of like find themselves and things like that, it's a beautiful thing, like as a fan to actually see like the, you know, like the progression from going to like, you know, like Broccoli with Dram and stuff like that to what you're doing now is amazing to me.
Yeah, it is.
I actually just wrote this down because you mentioned it, but F65 by IDK. I really love the jazz interludes on that one. When he was Mr. Police is probably one of my favorite songs on that project as well. I think my favorite breakdown when he was talking about all the stuff he loves, but it's, you know, like all materialistic stuff and things like that. He goes like, you know, I gotta have a new iPhone no matter what. I love to bite that apple, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like that. And it's just like one of those coolest like things. Like IDK is so underrated to me. Like it's a great project. Victoria Monet, Jaguar 2. As we mentioned, she got the Grammy for this album last week. Very solid. Probably my second favorite R&B album this year. It's very, very close. I love this one a lot. As Neil said, she's been around forever, and a lot of writing for a lot of artists. So just to see her get a new artist, you know, I'm happy she got the nod, and I'm happy she got that. I think she beat out SZA, right? With because SZA came out like that cutoff year in 2022.
Yeah. Oh,
but,
I totally that should be on my list too. By the way, SOS SZA.
I feel like did that count? Because that was 20. That came out like December 2022. Because her and Av Soul were like back to back.
Yeah. So maybe I put that on my last year.
Yeah, it's probably last year. But anyway, that was a great project as well. One that was surprising to me is actually country artist Chris Stapleton's Higher was such a good album, man.
I'm gonna listen.
I did not think I was gonna enjoy it because I mean recently I've been I've had this whole thing with country music for the better part of my adult life where I just really didn't get it for a long time, and I kind of started opening it up a lot more to it. And I mean there's this and there's another country album on my list that I'm going to talk about as well, but I really enjoyed this album. It's very soulful, like if I can put a word to it. It's definitely different than like, you know, what the perception of country music may be. I really enjoyed it a lot. Elzai's Heavy Vibrato, right? Yeah. Bars for days. Shout out to Detroit. Yep. Enough said about Elzai. Elzai's a legend.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. Currency and Harry Fraud, Vices. Oh, yeah, I love this album a lot. Like Currency, you know, Currency's always good for at least like 3 albums a year. And then Harry Fraud's production, you know, we talk about like when you have like that one producer that locks in with that one artist, they've been working together for years. So, you know the product you're going to get just by knowing the names. It's a very solid project. Together. This album, and I was just talking to Neil, I'm gonna be honest with you, I thought this artist passed away a while ago, but I'm glad that he's not. and he produced one of the best jazz albums I've heard in a long time. Was Roy Ayers and artist Ono had an album called Good Vibes, Bad Vibes. You were talking about like with like the Andre 3000 album, like it's good for like, you know, walking or jogging or like kind of just have like some nice background music, or, you know, if you're cleaning the crib or something like that. Yeah. It's perfect for that. It's just a great like ride of an album to listen to. You know, Roy Ayers has been around since like the 60s, 70s probably, so it's just one of those ones where, you know, you can just kind of put on and just like vibe to, you know. Yeah, enough said. Probably me personally, my favorite R&B album of this year, and he actually got a Grammy from SZA for Snooze, was Leon Thomas with Electric Dust, because, you know, he did the runs on Snooze. Yeah. But yeah, Leon Thomas, if you guys are familiar with the show Victorious, the Nickelodeon show from like 10 years, I guess a little bit less than 10 years ago, maybe now at this point. But yeah, he was the kid that was playing like keys and singing and all that stuff like that. He's all grown up and winning Grammys now. He's become his own artist. He's actually written for a lot of artists as well too. So it just from start to finish. I mean, he has like the feature with Benny, with X-Rated. It's the opening song probably drew me in just because like the voice, like he has just like a very great voice, like in general. That he does all his production, plays all his instruments. He's just one of those like just multi switch hitters where you can just kind of go either way. That's with true. You know, with production styles. Masego, self-titled album, Masego. We were talking about Masego earlier. Dude, speaking of like people that can just do everything production wise, you know, he plays sax, he sings, he plays keys, he does a lot of stuff. I think the opening track was black anime character, black anime girl or something like that. Yeah, from like start to finish, the album is great. And I do get your the consistency issues where it's kind of hit or miss, but yeah, he's been in a big stride for a minute now. So I'm mad I didn't get to see him last year when he was here for Afrofest, but
same here.
He killed it. Probably one of my favorite rappers of all time is Tech Nine. Put out an album called Bliss, similar to where Currency is. Tech Nine's also good for an album a year at least. I mean, if you know, I'm a technician.
Yeah, you certainly are.
It's one of my favorite artists, probably one of my favorite rappers like today, and you know, he's always gonna make my list no matter what. I was actually listening to. I forgot he has a feature with because we were talking about wrestling earlier. I forgot he has a feature with The Rock.
That's right. I got The Rock rapped on that song of his.
It's not on this album, but it was, I was like listening to that the other day. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh, that's funny.
Yves Tumor, Praise the Lord Who Chews But Which Does Not Consume, or Sinfully Hot Between Worlds. I was talking about Yves Tumor a little earlier in this post, so I'm not going to like double dip on that. Just check out the album. Going into my hard rock mode, Slipknot, The End So Far. I do really like this album. I don't like it as much as We Are Not Your Kind that came out a couple years prior to that. However, it is definitely a vibe, like the Adderall, like the single Adderall is like this hard-hitting, like energetic thing. I believe Corey Taylor put out like a solo album too, which is, you know, night and day from like Slipknot, obviously, but it's just one of those albums where, you know, you can just put on, like, go to the gym, like, it's hard, like, you know, you can just kind of like just get some shit done to it. And I always like stuff like that too. And, you know, Slipknot, since Iowa, I've been like kind of like a secret fan of. I don't look like one, but yeah, I fuck with him. Mick Jenkins, The Patience. I was very late to Mick Jenkins, admittedly. I went back, did some backtracking, but I spent a lot of time with this particular album, and he's definitely one of those ones like I hate the term backpack rap, just because, I mean, like, okay, somebody that's lyrical and things like that. Who actually coined that term? I don't
know who coined that term, honestly.
I don't like that term, but, like, he's definitely, like, a lyrical artist that, you know, has shit to say and, you know, wants to, like, leave a message to people and not just, you know, just rapping just to rap type shit. I like Mick Jenkins a lot. Alchemist, Flying High. We getting Uncle Alk bars. Gotta love it. I think Hit Boy brought something out of him, low key, with that.
For real, man. I mean, he put out like 4 projects this year or something like that too. Crazy.
Reason Porches. I do like this album a lot. What was the album before that? New Beginnings that came out a couple years before that.
That one that came out.
I want to say it was New Beginnings.
Yeah, I think that might be what
it's a step up from that, like big time, which I like New Beginnings as well, but the TDE camp, with Kendrick being gone, obviously need some bars out of that. We, can't wait for Schoolboy. We'll get into that later, but yeah, like I'm excited to see where Reason goes, like in his career, because it's a solid. He put out 2 solid projects to me in a row. So, yeah. Black, since I Have a Lover.
Really love this album about that one. Yeah, I love that one too.
Great R&B album. I mean, you're getting great things from Black. Like, I forgot the one with the bear on the cover, but that one, East Atlanta Love Letter, and then this guy. Shout out to the LVRN gang with him, Summer Walker. I was doing a Mick Jenkins callback. West Side Boogie, I believe, is a part of there too. That whole crew is fucking killing it, man. No Name, Sundial, which I was talking to Neil earlier about this. I think Rolling Stones rated it as like the best hip hop album of the year or something like that. I don't think it's the best hip hop album of the year. However, it is a great album, and with No Name, you kind of know what you're getting with that. Like, she had that whole Chicago crew with her, Chance, Vic Mensa, all those guys. You're getting kind of that. Though you're getting bars out of that. You're getting bars, you're getting some meaningful, and No Name always got some shit to say.
She's supposed to be dropping, aren't they supposed to be? There's a group of her, Smino, and
I forgot.
And what's the? Oh Jesus Christ! What am I? I'm drawing a blank. What's my man from Chicago? Oh God!
Gotta be more descriptive.
Oh God!
Chief Keef, Lil Durk, Chance.
No, he's. That's how I found out about him.
Kanye West.
God, I'm scared. Keep going with your list. I'll figure it out.
All right. One I did not listen to, but I do really like this band a lot because, pop punk head. But Paramore, This Is Why. I do plan on checking this out. Not got much to say about it now, but do want to check that out. And then also another one I want to check out is Pierce the Veil, Jaws of Life, which I've liked their singles a lot. They historically put out some great music. I just haven't checked out that album yet. Paris, Texas, Mid-Air was a great project as well. I've been getting hip to them. Shout out to Pigeons and Planes. That kind of put me onto them. Great rap collective. Like those guys a lot. Nas and Hit Boy Magic 2. I believe the Magic 3 did come out this year as well. I want to say. So that did kind of round out that 6-album run that they had. Magic 2 was solid, man. I think that because Nas has gotten a lot of shit about production over the years, and I'm just happy that they have that producer that's been killing it, I guess, in this generation for the past 10 years. You link up with an OG like Nas and kind of put out this amount of consistently great music, So yeah, it's a solid thing.
Saba, by the way, that's who I was thinking of. Smino, Saba, and No Name, I think, have a little group together.
Nice.
They're supposed to be making music.
Nice. Earl Sweatshirt and Alchemist, Von Dior. Dior? No, not Dior.
Yeah, I think you got it right.
Okay. Yeah. I love Earl. I'm a Nah Future stan, always been. So, yeah.
Yep.
And Al, that production style is crazy, man, for his voice. Artists I've been kind of hearing about lately. I did listen to the album a couple times, and I don't really know where to put it as far as genre wise, because he does this genre bending as well. But Tizo Touchdown, How Do You Sleep at Night? I really enjoy. There's a few songs on this album where I'm just like, what the fuck am I listening to, if I'm being honest? But in a good way. And then the other one, and then there's just some of that vibe with he has this really cool story one where it talks about I should have moved out the hood, where it's a homeless guy, a guy that's middle class, and a guy that's upper class, in the same neighborhood or whatever. And it's a super dope track. But yeah, I like Tizo. I like Tizo Touchdown. I'm really cool to see where he goes.
Andre 3000's been talking about Tizo in his interviews, saying that he's a fan.
Yeah, he got who? Did Tyler put him on? No, he was around before that. But I think that was his first big feature was that Run It Up.
Sure.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Get into more of I guess, more of a Sinatra bag. Family Guy creators Seth MacFarlane and Liz Giles put out this album, Wish You Were the Merriest.
Oh.
It's so good.
Really?
It's so
Is
good.
it like a Christmas album?
It's like a very sing-songy like album, very like big jazz room, like Sinatra type, like Rat Pack type shit. It's super dope. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. I just saw him recently on he was on some interview with Bill Maher.
Yeah, Kali Uchis, Red Moon and Venus. We already talked about that. Doja Cat, Scarlet. Doja Cat with this whole satanic shit. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, it's crazy. I mean, she's putting out good music, but it's kind of weird to me. But I get the shock. I mean, we were talking about the shock value aspect in a couple episodes ago and things like that. So I get what she's doing, man.
Yeah.
This album we haven't talked about, but I wanted to bring it up. And this is my second country album, and I love the fact that these older artists can make this like switch up to like a different genre and just fucking kill it at it. But Jelly Roll's Whistlet Chapel is so good, man.
Yeah, I'll have to listen
like
to that.
That dude has
I like
spent
him.
some time in a church, and you can tell. Like, it's dude, it's very motivational. It's super dope. Like Jelly Roll, just coming from like 3-6 Mafia and all those guys, and just like to see where he's at now in his career is amazing to me. I saw he had like that speech in front of Congress about like gun control and things, and
he seems to be like a great guy. He seems. I mean, I don't know much of his music. I haven't really listened. I don't think I've listened to a full project of his. But I definitely will give him a shot because I've seen interview clips and stuff floating around, and he seems to be a pretty good dude.
Yeah, it's a great album. Highly recommend it. Killer Mike Michael, we already talked about that quite a bit.